So I was sitting here doing a candle reading for myself, and if you see, I still have a few little pieces of wax floating in here. And the reason being is because as I was clearing it out, I was just clearing it out by hand, and they kept saying to leave it, and they were even saying to put it back. Like, just put like a few of these specks back, not the whole thing, just put it back. Put it back. And as I do this, it's this feeling that I get of a representation for you that you are, I'm hearing the words reclaiming. It's a feeling of reclaiming, retaking, I don't like the word control because that's not necessarily what they're saying, but it's kind of this essence of control in the most lighter aspect of things, where you're changing the trajectory of your life, you're changing your destiny. And so it's this control that I get of this. It's a feeling of ease, it's a feeling of easy navigation, this feeling of understanding your essence, the depth of your essence, in a way that I'm also hearing the word modern. So it's like you're modernizing the way that you operate or the way that you move in life. There's something about the way that you are processing the world around you and the way that you're kind of restructuring the way that you perceive things that is it's moving you. It's the catalyst. It's helping you to move more effortlessly through life in a way that's so clear and concise, in the way that your destiny is malleable. You're choosing to move through it in a more simplified manner, as far as the difficulties that could potentially have been in your way, right? So I guess another way we could reword this, right, is, more simply put, you're understanding yourself better on such a deep level. It's beyond, it feels beyond the average depth. It's beyond really understanding yourself on like a human level. It's on a deeply spiritual level, where you're even understanding past lives, and your relationship or your connection with your guides is strengthening, it's deepening into a way that you can almost like you're able to translate, right? You're able to not just feel their energy, which it feels like you have been able to communicate with them. You've been able to translate their energy and what they're communicating with you into thought, right? Into words in your own mind. But there are often times where I feel you are perceiving like, oh, there's something meaningful here, there's something important here, there's something deeper here. And so in that way, you're picking up on their energy, right? You're picking up on their guidance, you're picking up on the information, you're picking up on potentially some sort of meaningful part of your life in that instance, right? Whether that's because this is a destined point of your life, whether this is a destined point of decision in your life, whatever it is, you're kind of intuitively feeling that, right? You have that nudge in those instances. But now you're moving into a place where that's that feeling of, the word modern is coming up again, because to modernize it means, they're saying, like, in English, right? Like, this is the modern language, right? This language is very different than 16th century English, right? So you're being able to interpret what they're saying. And also there's this feeling of blending, right? Like modernizing is blending it into your life. It's kind of like, someone who is like very artistic, and so they've kind of structured their life to put all of their artistic pursuits into one particular thing, like painting, right? And so now they're they're blending it into their life and say, oh my gosh, all the things that I could do. I can not only paint portraits, but I can paint my walls. Not only can I paint my walls, but I can use that creative influence that I have to kind of play with the colors of nature and have a garden that is influenced by what I would kind of create on this painting, right? Or the way that I kind of intuit and pick up on these artistic influences, this thing in my imagination, right? Those things I can kind of play with the way that I dress, or it even stretches beyond that, because you're saying, okay, now I understand my strengths, right? My God-given strength. I'm able to really understand it, that I don't just have to make it applicable to these particular things. How am I gathering this information? How am I gathering this influence, right? This artistic influence. How am I getting that? Like, what does that feel like? And then you're replicating that in other ways in your life, right? And saying, okay, well, I'm also getting stagnancy. I'm getting stagnancy. So there's a resistance. There's a resistance that kind of calls within your like formal environment. That's what I'm getting. It's like, you know, the way that you present yourself, or the way that you structure your life, the way that you perceive your life, the way that you've kind of worked in the world, which was very meaningful and important at the time. But you're able to now mesh your creative pursuits, your creative influence, your creative way of viewing things into your formal living, into, I was gonna say formal living room, like formal living space, but it's also that, right? It's because it's an invitation, right? I'm seeing the formal living room as, you know, this is where you present to the world. This is where you have, they're even showing me like older, not just having a formal living room, but they're taking me even further back to older homes, right, where they would have a whole completely separate living space, like living quarters, where when their guests would be invited over, then they only stayed in that area, right? They don't go into this other section or this other building, right? It's a completely separate area, separate entranceway and everything. And so I actually do see this in particular, it's either applied to just a past life, so there's something connected there, or this is also connecting to your current life, and maybe this is something that you're replicating in this life, or that's something that you're interested in when you look for homes, or how you entertain, all of these things, where it feels like you have a whole separate area for people to kind of engage in. And I'm seeing is a short there's something about like you know how shorthand, right? There's something tied to the past, like something I don't know, old. I don't really like the word old because it doesn't feel like that's the wrong word, but it's like how I'm explaining, you know, I think in a lot of homes now too, we don't really have formal living spaces. It's more open concept. So it's something tied to something that's not really prevalent now, right? Or even shorthand, right? With computer systems and everything, then shorthand is not necessarily taught or significant, right? And then they're tying me, they're shorthand. So they're talking about this story that I have. Okay, And and these are your guides and guardian angels. This is who I'm connecting to. It might be a passed away loved one serving as such, but they're showing me, so there was this individual, right? And they had a whole bunch of like they just had a bunch of stuff, okay, from an organization, and they had no idea what it was written in it, right? It was all in shorthand, and they knew nothing of shorthand. They were in their like 50s or something, and they didn't know shorthand. And so they were looking at it and they're like, oh my gosh, it's this mysterious text. Like they learned this whole different language, which, I mean, it kind of is because it's phonetics, right? It's based off of phonetics. And so I guess in some ways, but because this organization already has a mysterious element, then they added onto it. They kind of like played in their mind an even more, like, you see, they made it even bigger. And so, and I'm seeing, I've been recording for 11 minutes, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. I just looked up, and that's significant here. This is an emphasis on what I'm saying, and then I look again, and it's 11:22. So for these repeating numbers, they might be synchronistic in something in your life, but it's also highlighting to me, it's not necessarily the meaning behind the numbers, it's the synchronicity, the repetition of it that is emphasizing what I'm saying here. So anyway, they made it more mysterious than it is. And so there's this feeling here where there's this depth or understanding of some older, like, cultural thing, whether it's shorthand, whether it's Old English, whether it's the art of soap making with tallow, like something, right? It could be the discovery of something, the importance of, or the understanding is like you're revisiting something, or you're being called to revisit something and you're already feeling it, or you have an interest in something in particular that has to do with something older and you're modernizing it in a way. And it's connected to you somehow on a deeper spiritual level, and there's something about it that is helping. It feels like an energetic blockage. You not addressing it, you not incorporating it, you not modernizing it and letting it kind of flow and influence your life has caused some sort of energetic blockage. It's a resistance, right? It's like this feeling that you want to do it, you're called to do it, you're interested in it, but you're not giving yourself enough time to look into it. You're not, there was something that was kind of preventing you. But what was preventing you was something to do with you. You were preventing yourself from doing it. And so this is allowing the energy to flow, and it feels very much like a charge, an energetic charge. And what this is it's like clearing your blockages, right? It's like this surge of energy because you had gotten used to kind of functioning, let's say at 60%, and now I'm not even gonna say 100%, you're at like 80%. The other 20% feels like this is when you really start just letting it flow, letting it go, right? Kind of moving into this space more consistently. And there's like a few other things. There's like a few small other things that, but 80% is really good. So, there's that. I see this is starting to turn into a heart, right? This is starting to turn a heart. I wasn't looking, I was looking up the whole time I was talking. So, and I noticed they look like little birds to me. Like all of these look like little birds. And so what I feel is your energy feels very like, it feels like a current. It feels like a current just moving, right? And it's been cleared. The current is clear or clearing. And all of these little things, and that's why they're saying leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, is this is me. Like this is okay, hold on, give me a second. Okay, this is me. This is what is it called? Let me just say it. This is an example. Okay, this is like an example of what they're describing, where they're saying, hey, Berra, leave those little wax bits in there. This is what we're guiding you on. This is what we're instructing you on. This is what we're trying to show you, right? And I have the choice in my life to say, you know what, I'm just not going to do it, whatever. You know, I feel it, but I'm not going to do it. And yet I'm listening, and I put them back. I put some of them back, and they're showing like to put them back. And that is at its depth, that it's not just, it's showing me layers, right? Where I can say, okay, this is me sending a message to the world, to the universe, to my guides, to God, right? Which they're working for God, so in essence, to God. And it's also sending a message mentally, right? Psychologically, I'm telling myself, I'm following my intuition. I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting in God. I'm trusting that and I talked about this in another video. I think it was the last video where I was talking about intention setting. So this is very similar to that. So if you felt drawn to that one, you're drawn here as well. This is an important message here. And look at, I just looked down, look at this. This looks like two worlds connecting, two worlds colliding, two worlds connected by this bridge here. That's what I'm seeing here. And it's that connection with your guides, with your ancestors on I'm ready. I'm sending a clear message that I am reclaiming. It feels like reclaiming your property. It feels like reclaiming like your destiny, like something that really belongs to you. And this feels tangible too as well. So like property as in real property. It feels like you're reclaiming something, and this is inherently belonging to you. It's not on the surface level, okay, it belongs to you. There's some deep connection that is this belongs to you on like a soul. I mean, I don't really want to say like that because it sounds like how do I explain it? I mean, I think you get it, right? But I just want to make myself clear. It's like this is inherently yours, you know, as your incarnation, as who you are. And there's something connected to like, it's like the lower, that's kind of how I'm saying, it's like it's like when we talk about past lives, it's like these lower levels of identity, right? It's not like lower vibrational, but it's like lower, like it's more like matter, right? More tangible, like these kinds of like identities. So the closer you are to kind of these realms, like it's like what is it? Oh my goodness. You know how we're like different dimensions, different levels? It's like these lower levels. So there's something about this property that is claimed to you. Its inheritance belongs to you, not just as your incarnation here, but as like your soul's path, as like a human incarnation. Like this is something that was, I'm not gonna say it was destined for you, because it doesn't necessarily feel like that. This feels very much in line with where I was going with this, where you are destined to claim it or reclaim it if you so choose to energetically announce through your, not just your actions, but your truest intentions and belief in what it is that you are in this world, right? I can give an example that I'm getting where it's like, let's just take an example of like real property, okay? And it's like, we'll say, okay, like let's say that there's a house that you really like, okay? You drive by this house all the time and you just dream of always wanting this house, and it finally goes up for sale. And you obviously have the option to try and like buy the house, right? And let's say that you're tied up financially and you're like, okay, well, obviously I can't afford it. And yet you have this like yearning for it. And then it turns into like this kind of a shallow way of like, well, I want it because I've always wanted it, right? But at the depth of it is there's this inner calling to want this house, and it's this inner feeling, right? And so when you kind of tap into that and say, it's not about this wanting, this coveting of this place, right? It's this longing, desperation for this place. Inherently, I feel called to this place. I feel like I can provide this place with the attention to it and to respect its historical, whimsical, whatever kind of thing, or whatever you love about it. And we can bring in the modernization too. I can modernize it, right, in a way that is still respecting its integrity and kind of just like bring it back to life. And so when you start coming from that intention, then it clears up your mental clarity for you to actually say, oh my gosh, you know what? I don't have to, I don't know, borrow against my house or something, which, I mean, that would actually not be a bad. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. I don't have to do that. I can, I don't know, like sell. So let's say you're an artist. So I'm gonna sell my paintings, and now I actually can afford it, or I can go look online. Let me just call them. Let me call a realtor and see what my options are, and you find out because you're allowing that to kind of flow through you and to see those options, right? When you kind of send that message, oh, I can't have it, oh, I want it this way, then it's going to kind of you're going to navigate your life in a different way, right? So that's very important here for you to acknowledge and congratulate yourself on reclaiming and retaking what is rightfully yours on a multitude of levels, and that you are coming from a honorable, high vibrational place with whatever this regards. And with these being little birds, what I'm seeing is that current that is your energy, and these birds represented as your angelic guidance, and them kind of just flying around on a separate current, right? The current of the higher realms, and observing and feeling like it's a partial influence where you are hearing and communicating directly with them, but it's not a constant stream. It's you doing this on your own, right? You taking control of your life and your destiny and of your I don't like I was going to say future, and it felt so wrong. It felt so wrong to say because it feels deeper than that, right? I think a better word would be legacy, because that feels rooted in something, a good foundation, like foundational influence that isn't necessarily forward thinking in a self-seeking way, or in a way that feels temporary, right? A legacy carries on beyond death, right? If you're thinking about your future only, or your future lives, then that's very self-serving, and it doesn't feel that way. This feels more influential in a way that is very meaningful and heartfelt and appreciated by whoever these heirs are, whether it's the heirs of this real property, whether these are living people or living creatures, right? If this has to do with like animals or anything, it feels like whomever could be directly influenced by this will be influenced in a positive, meaningful way, because your intention is of that. I hear the word star or starlight, star bright. I'm seeing a claw. It kind of feels like a lobster claw. And I'm seeing here, this looks like a wishbone to me. And then I broke the wishbone, so that's cool. um, there's this feeling of just being very proud of you, very proud of you. And this I'm hearing like you did a good thing, or you've done a good thing. Specifically, I heard you've done a good thing. And then they're showing, see how it's thicker, and I heard building up, right? So again, that kind of goes along with what I was saying with a legacy. And they're actually showing me a card I have, that actually describes this perfectly, because it has roots and it says legacy on it. Let me go get it. Let me find it. So it's family tree number 14, expansion, legacy. You see the roots here. And this wouldn't be possible. This family union wouldn't be possible. The baby here wouldn't be possible. Her enjoying these flowers wouldn't be possible without the roots beneath the tree. And I notice all of these little sparkles here, which is showing me the guides, the influence of the guides kind of sustaining your current, your flow, your energy flow, influencing a positive energy shift and flow in your life. And it feels like there's these guides in your life that are leaving out of your energy field. It feels like you have temporary guides as well that are honored to have served you in these like short bursts of, they're showing me like a train conductor, right? And how they pull the lever or whatever they do to move the tracks to go a different direction. So there are these guys, they feel very human. So it kind of feels like maybe if you would have had images growing up, or you had images sometime in your life, even currently, of people who have crossed over, and you may not even know them in this incarnation, or um, maybe you would have met them and then they had passed away, or if you live in a home where there might be like ancient burial ground, something like that, but there's like passed away energy that takes on form of people that have served you, and their promise to you is very temporary. Like, I'm going to help you in this particular chapter of your life, these small little things in your life. And they feel very honored to have been able to, I'm hearing, serve you. Like, we're very honored to have served you, to have worked with you, and now they move on to whatever else that they're, um, doing on the other side. Um, and I'm showing, I'm being heavily drawn to these flowers and this woman looking at the flowers, because it feels like they're emphasizing this, because the flowers, the that's actually the example that I saw, is you selling flowers. I said selling painting because that was in in line with what I was talking about, but it feels like this is leading you to some byproduct that is going to further influence your expansion, right? So she's very happy. She's just kind of doing her own thing, but there's an overabundance of flowers, and she comes from a very loving place. And so she's not going to be selling her flowers just to make a profit. It's because at her core, she wants to share what it is that she loves so much, right? And so she's going to be expanding her business, right? She's actually creating a business. She's not even expanding on it. She's creating a byproduct business that is going to actually, it's not sustaining this because it's already sustained, but it's expanding it. It's creating an even bigger influence. And I heard the word information, so I'm also seeing this as you free up this, right? It's like everyone's kind of gathered here, all the energies here, and this is a very good thing. But as you're expanding outward, it's actually bringing in new information, right? She's going to learn so much about flowers. Right now, she's more into understanding the family, and this family, the tree, right? And so now she's integrating herself into a whole new group of people, a whole nother environment, where they're saying, your guides are emphasizing that this information gathering is also paying dividends for your future lives, right? So not future, not back what we were saying earlier, but this is going to influence who you're going to become as you pass from this world, as your identity later, whether you incarnate here on earth, whether you incarnate somewhere else, whether you are completely more of spirit than you are of any sort of tangible physical thing. What you're doing now and what you're going to be doing very soon, this expansion is going to influence it. And then they're emphasizing an example is, who are you in this life, and what kind of gifts do you have, and what kind of like skills, which I'm seeing gifts and skills completely different, because the skill feels more physical, the gift feels more influenced by spirit. It's like the physical skills and what's the kind of comes natural to you. But they're saying look at all of that, right, and how you can compare that to this kind of flower building business. But they're saying there is a difference in this, in this fact that it just feels more wide ranging, almost like this, like star seeker, sky seeker, like kind of just expanding and seeking and discovering new land, or like new stars, new something up there. Feels very much up in the realms. And so it's a lot bigger. Like this feels very limited in you get what I'm saying? Like all of which you kind of understand and expand on here in this world is still limited. And so how this information gathering is influencing you later is it's going to be in a drastically more expansive way than can be understood in a more materialized fashion. So what you're about to do is very important. What you're soon to embark on is very important, but you're not going to necessarily see that yet, because you see the different steps that are getting taken to achieve yourself being there. You actually doing that, right? If I tell you the word tropical, feel what that feels like to you, right? The energy surrounding the word tropical, what does that represent to you? Now capture that energy into what this feels like. The information gathering stage is going to feel tropical. So what you felt in that definition, that's how you're going to be feeling here. So that's what I see, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.